Morning, everybody. We are live for Becoming Professionally Famous. Golly, that's a little bright. There we go. Becoming Professionally Famous, Season 3, Episode number 7. Now, this morning, what I wanted to chat with you about is this whole discussion around why we're doing what it is that we're doing. Now, I remember in 2010, when I first started this business, good morning, Helen. One of my really big drivers was around making money. It was my first goal was all around making enough, more than enough, to cover my corporate salary. Now, this is probably a common link between a lot of people, right? So in my mind, I was like, all right, I'm gonna use that financial goal as the motivator, as the reason to go. And I eventually, come 2012, so some 18 months after starting, finally started to make some money, get some things working and moving, and started to build some momentum. Now, that was great. I had in April 2012, after battling for ages, I finally had my first, good morning, Margaret, finally had my first $30,000 sales month. And then it went up from there. And then I was kind of like hitting goal after goal after goal after goal. And that was really, it was enough for me to kind of keep me going and keep me motivated. My big goal was to get to $1 million a year, and then get to 1.5, and then get to 2, and then 3, and then go from there. And for me, I hit that consistently, was hitting anywhere between 75 and 95 grand a month, which if you do the sums, that works to, just over $1 million a year. So that was really great. And it was really awesome. And then the wheels fell off, right? And there was a whole lot of stuff, some of you, I've spoken on previous episodes about some of this stuff. I needed to scale everything back. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I would do exactly what it was that I did back then. I would do everything again. But I guess the big thing is that come like towards the end of last year, so that was towards the end of 2017, I was like, okay, you know what, I'm kind of ready to get back onto the horse, get back in the saddle, all of those awesome metaphors, and I'm really ready to go and revved and, rah, rah, rah. And the thing for me, though, was that goal of getting back to $1 million a year was not enough to keep me motivated, which I get it. That might feel like it's miles away for you right now. That's okay. What I think is really important. So I'm way off doing $1 million a year right now. Just let me be really clear about that. And I think sometimes what happens is that when we set ourselves a financial goal and that's the only driver, when things aren't kind of working the way that we want, instead of being motivating to get you to push through and to do what needs to be done, it actually can become more of a demotivator. So to me, the thing that I really needed to do was to literally sit down and go, all right, well, number one, why the fuck am I doing this? Because is it really worth the time, the energy, the blood, sweat, the tears, the stress? And I appreciate that these are all, really big first world problems, right? The more money you make, the bigger the problems that you're going to have to deal with, but there are also higher level problems, dealing with tax, dealing with more clients, juggling your time, finding space for you, all of that type of stuff, so the more you make, the bigger the problems you have. And so for me, I think a big thing that I needed to really work through is, do I want to be dealing with those higher level problems? Do I really want to be that, kind of doing things in the way that I had done them in the past? And it caused me to reevaluate. So I took back some time and I sat myself down and was like, well, what is it that I really want to do? And how is it that I really want to be doing it? Who do I want to be working with? And at the end of the day, one of the big questions that I always come back to is, if I had $10 million in my bank account, what would I be doing? And how would I be doing it? And what would I be thinking about? And how would I be thinking about it? And what would I be processing? And what decisions would I be making? And for me, I guess and this has been a bit of an evolution process for me, even over the course of this year, so 2018. Big part of my processing and a big part of my thinking around a lot of this has been, well, you know what, if the money was out of the equation, what is it that really lights me up? And the stuff that lights me up is helping you guys. You know, it's being in the room, seeing the light bulbs go off over the top of your heads when you get something. Whether it's in the chat as we're doing lives, whether it's in a workshop, whether it's running a webinar, you know, that stuff is fun for me. So even if we had $10 million, $20 million, you know, $500,000 in the bank account right now, I would still be doing what I'm doing in the way that I'm doing it. So if we're looking at drivers, it's like, okay, well, it's not actually really about the money. It's more about contribution. It's more about having fun. It's more about helping other people and having a financial, you know, result as part of all of that, because that's kind of like the natural flow-on effect, right? I think another thing that I worked on over the last few months is what specifically, if it's about impact and if it's about helping other people, and I'll work you through the framework with how you can do this for yourselves. It's like, all right, well, if I'm thinking about impact, what would happen to my motivation if I decided to actually look at the volume of people that I could impact versus it being some random arbitrary kind of number pie in the sky type thing? So I set a goal to help 10 million business owners get themselves out there on social media, create really powerful personal brands before the end of 2020. So if I'm looking at 10 million people, then me just doing one webinar every now and again isn't going to be helpful, right? Me doing a random post every now and again isn't going to be helpful. So that became a much bigger motivator than trying to chase the dollar. So it's like, okay, cool. So I've got 10 million people that I want to impact. How do I find 1 million of them? How do I find 100,000 of those people? How do I do that? And so we've got my email database. We've got you guys on Facebook. I've got LinkedIn. I've got Twitter. Like, I've got all of these things, right? So it's like, you know, that just kind of, that gets me a bit more excited. It's like, where are the people? Where are the people? Where are the people? Where are the people? So there are some different goals, I guess, that become motivational for people at different stages in their business. So if you're in brand new startup, and by startup, I'm saying you might be doing less than 100 grand a year. It might be, or maybe you've been doing this for a few years, but you just don't kind of feel like you're at that next level yet, then use money as a motivator. Go for it. It worked for me for years, so I know it will work. The trick here, though, is that I want you to just come back and go, all right, you know what, my goal might be to do a couple of $100,000 a year. Your goal might be $500,000. So that's great. Take a look at where you're at right now. So to put you guys in the picture, I've scaled my business back to about $250 a year. Okay, so on purpose, scaled it back to about $250 a year. And I'm not happy just doing that. I would like more. I want to help more people. And I know that when I increase the revenue, that increases the impact that I'm having out there in the world. So if I look at 250 and I'm like, right, my goal is $1 million, then I have to 4 times my income. That's still a reasonably big stretch, guys. So if you're doing 100 and you want $500,000, that's a really big jump. And the business is going to require you to do different things at different times in terms of your turnover, right? So what I would look at is, okay, let's say that you're doing $100,000 a year right now and your goal might be $500,000. Awesome. Let's bring it back and let's take a look at what is that next milestone that you might hit. So is it an extra 50 grand? Is it doing an extra $5,000 a month over the next 2 months, and then increasing it by another 10 grand, and then increasing that by another 10, and then increasing that by another 20? So what tends to happen is that when we're looking at this really big, massive goal, we can kind of get the speed wobbles. This happened to me at skating the other day. I was like zooming around the track and I just got a little bit distracted, and I was going so fast, and I was just like, and then I had to kind of just like breathe, get grounded, recalibrate, and then go again, right? So financial goals can sometimes, if they're too big or if they feel too unachievable, it can give you the speed wobbles. So we just want to recalibrate that. Now, if money is no longer a driver for you, then, awesome. That's a great problem to have. We've got to look for different things and different reasons and different triggers, I guess, that are going to get you motivated. So is it around having a really awesome holiday once a year? And then how much money do you need to make for that? Is it around the volume of time that you spend with your family or with your children? Is it around the number of lives that you're going to impact? That works for me because it makes it not about me, even though it is about me, right? What is it for you? And it can take a whole lot of kind of processing for you to work out what that is. My 10 million people by the end of 2020 was inspired by a gentleman that I met earlier this year called Oscar Tromboli. And he was talking about that his goal and his mission around helping I can't remember his number, it might have been 10 million as well actually, people to listen and listen effectively and to listen well around the world. So if we're looking at that, come back and just think about what the number might be for you. It's got to be big enough to make it kind of like, to create some tension, right? So what we're looking at doing is we've got to create some tension. So a little bit like a rubber band getting pulled back and then let go, or like an arrow being shot, like a bow and arrow. We've got to create some tension in order for you to be able to pull forward. And often if the tension becomes too tight, that's where it just doesn't work. So we've got to just find that kind of happy medium and work out where it is for you. So what's your why? Something that I get my people to do is, my clients, an exercise that I get my clients to do is to write a legacy statement. So what is that thing that they're leaving the world after they're gone? And I get them to take it one step further and to actually write their own eulogy. Now, that might sound a little somber and morbid and confronting. It's supposed to be, right? But it's really about you guys and my clients being able to tap into that thing that you're leaving behind. Because, for some people, it's around leaving a massive financial legacy. And that is brilliant. And if that keeps you moving, then go for it, use it. If it's around impact, go for it, use it. For me, some interesting things that come up for people when they're talking about that is thinking about the things that other people are saying about them for the positive, the way that they inspired without meaning to, the impact that they have, the sheer amount of joy that they were able to bring other people's lives as a result of doing what it is that they do. Doing that exercise will give you some insights into what your why is, into what your motivator is. So that's really that. Because it's not always about the money, right? Often we think that it is, but sometimes it's about more than that. It's about what the money gives us. So I'd really encourage you, if you haven't done this recently, I'd really encourage you to take a look at, all right, if money is no object, then, what is that thing? Or if it is money, what is money getting for you? Is it choice? Is it freedom? Is it legacy? Is it impact? Is it being able to set your children up? For me, I didn't want my children, and I still don't want my children to have to want for anything. And I want to be able to not spoil them, but I want them to be able to have access to different things that I think is really important. And I know that I have a financial obligation or a financial responsibility to be able to do that for them. And so that can be a big driver as well. If you feel like you've lost your mojo, which is what happened to me last year, if you feel like you've lost your motivation, and if you kind of feel like the going, it's like the going gets tough, right? I really strongly encourage you to just breathe and just to take some time. Take some time to sit and think about what's really important and what is it that you love about what you do. What is it that you absolutely love the shit out of? Because there is something in there as well that's going to give you the clues, and it might give you the opportunity to be able to pivot, maybe test something different, maybe try something different, try something new, maybe try a new audience, try a new offer, I don't know. You know, it might just be that thing that you weren't able to put your finger on until you created the space to sit down and really decide and work out what's important. Because there will be some really hard days, right? You know that I'm a down the line, no bullshit kind of girl. There will be some hard days. And money, more often than not, is not enough of a motivator to get you through those bad days, or those tough days, or those hard days. Usually, it's about something bigger. So you've just got to work out what that something bigger is for you. All right? Awesome. So I trust this has been helpful for you. It is a slightly shorter episode today. If you have got questions, please make sure you let me know. Hi, Joe. Yes, Margaret. Big goals. Hey, Jared. Awesome. I think that's that. Brilliant. Any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a really beautiful and amazing Tuesday where we get to choose everything we do today. Really excited about next week's episode. So next week, I am stepping you through the launch process and the launch timeline. Now, there are so many people that think that they can just go put up a post, talk about a workshop once, talk about an offer or a program, and that all of a sudden everybody's going to buy, particularly if it's priced in, less than a few $1,000s. Now, the launch timeline and the launch process requires you to do some specific things around building up some momentum with what it is that you're doing. So next week, I'm going to be talking with you about that. Episode 9, the following week, is where I'm going to chat with you about online courses and the process that I would very, very strongly recommend that you undertake for any online courses that you guys want to create. And episode 10 is a bit of a day in the life of. So, have a great day. We've got Q&A Wednesday tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Sydney time. So, if you have any questions that you want me to answer, you can message them, you can email them, you can comment below, and I'll answer them for you tomorrow. So, have an awesome Tuesday. Go kick some major ass, and I'll talk to you soon.